Key that we're going to talk about today is the key to 10x your hourly rate in 2021. So what we're going to really be talking about is how do you maximize, the key to maximizing your hourly earnings is structuring your time into tasks with the highest earning potential. So said a little bit differently, if you want to earn $500 an hour, you have to stop doing $5 an hour tasks. Now, I remember,
now you're meddling, David.
What's that?
I said you're meddling.
I'm meddling?
Yeah.
Well, I remember Jim Edwards hit me over the head with a hammer on that one once. He said, dude, you want to earn $500 an hour? Stop doing something that's a $5 an hour task. Get it off your calendar. Stop doing it. I'm like, ow. Like, okay. Well, that was, Jim tends to be a little straightforward. I don't know if anyone else is.
He doesn't hold back, does he?
Yeah, he doesn't exactly dance around the edges. He just kind of goes straight down the heart of the issue. But I was like, geez, Jim, thanks. So anyway, but it really stuck with me. It really, really hit me. Like, if you want to get to the point where you're earning that, you're not going to get there by doing all these little tasks that are really low value tasks. So why do we do that? Why do we do these little $5 an hour type tasks? Well, usually it's a lack of clarity. We don't know what it is that we should be focusing on. We don't know where we should be putting our attention and our time. We don't know where we should be putting our energy. So we work on whatever is in front of us. We do whatever's, okay, I can do this. I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to do this. We don't have a clear understanding of what is it that's going to get me the best return. It's not about, hey, this is really going to generate the most for me. This is going to do me the most good. So this is where I got to have my answer. And that lack of clarity then turns into busy work. We just get really, really busy on whatever is urgent, whatever needs to be done, whatever is staring at us at the moment. That's what we do. And it's not necessarily the best thing. It's not the most profitable thing. It's not the thing that's going to get us the best result. It's just what we see. So we got to get clarity on what it is that's going to move the needle for us. We got to get clear on that. So I really got 4 questions for you today that I want you to take down and I want you to go through that's going to help you gain that clarity, to help you understand, well, how do I know where I should be investing my time? How do I know where I should be putting my time, energy, and effort so that I can spend my days earning at a much higher level than what I am currently? The first question is, I want you to think about, and I want you to write these things down. I want you to start noodling your answers down on a piece of paper. Like, what are the things you need to start doing? In other words, you know that if you did this is going to start generating a significantly higher amount of income for you. If you got this piece in place, if you got these things rolling in your life, if you got these things moving forward, that would really move the needle. That would change things. And these are the things that will cause you significant growth and significant change in your life. These are the big things. You're like, wow, if I had this going, if I got that really rolling, things would be different. And I want you to identify the top 3 things that you have. What are those 3 things that, man, if I had this going, I had this going, I had this going, my life would be a radically different life. It would really be totally different. Things would be so different than what I'm currently experiencing. And I would be getting a hugely different impact and result from what I'm getting. And I want you to then, after you've identified those top 3 things, I want you to choose the one thing that you want to focus on first. Because again, it becomes very easy to start getting scattered. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Choose that thing that, like, okay, this is my top 3, and this is the one that I'm going to hit first. This is the thing that's the number 1 priority on that list. We're going after this one because this is the one that either I can get the most immediate impact on, or the thing that's going to be the most significant. And you have to decide, because sometimes you have to do the things that get you the money fast, to get you the income quickly, because you need that. You're in a place where you need to get income quickly. Other times you have a little bit more cushion in there that you can work with, and you need to work on the thing that's most significant. So you need to make that call and that decision for yourself. And then you need to go to your calendar and you need to schedule at least an hour a week that you're going to work on this. It has to get on your calendar. You have to block off time. You have to make it a priority, because if it doesn't go on the calendar, it doesn't get done. That's a very simple rule that all of us need to grasp and need to live by. That if we just start talking, oh, yeah, I should do this. Oh, yeah, I should do that. Well, that's great. But guess what? Unless it's on there, unless it's taken a priority and it's blocked off on time, usually other things then, oh, I was going to work on this from 10 to 11, and then someone else called, or someone else scheduled a call, or then I had to go into a meeting, or know what? If your calendar's blocked off, they can't jump in front of it. They can't take that time away from you. The next question is, what do you need to do more of? And as part of this, what I want you to ask yourself is, what are your top 3 to 4 unique abilities? What are those top 3 or 4 things that you look at and say, man, I'm really good right here. These are the top 3 or 4 things in my life that I am really gifted at. This is where I shine. This is the stuff where I'm really, really good, where my abilities, my skills, my experience, my knowledge and expertise, they just shine and they come out right here. You need to identify that. What are those top 3 to 4 areas? What are those things where you are special, where you are really strong? And out of these, what is the number one thing you need to spend more time doing that will have the greatest impact on your business, or if you're in a ministry, or in your ministry? What is that number one thing? Out of you look at, like, these are my top 3 or 4 abilities. This is where I'm really, really good. Now, what is the one thing out of those 3 or 4 abilities that makes the most difference? What is that one thing that is really like, man, when I do this, that's when good things happen. When I'm really in the zone working in that ability that I have, this is when things really need to happen. And you need to get clear on that, and you need to identify that. You need to understand, this is the thing. This is the thing that I get involved in when I'm working on this. When I take my ability and I run in this direction, good things happen for me. This is where I really, really get positive results. And again, go to your calendar and schedule time to do this. Put it on the calendar. I'm going to keep on this all the time, is that when you put things on the calendar and you block off that time, other things are not allowed to sneak in. Other things are not allowed to take over. The tyranny of the urgent doesn't get to come in and dominate. You have that time dedicated to do what is important long-term to you to build the life that you want. The third question to ask is, then what do you need to do less of? And I want you to go through your tasks, because now we're finding this is where I need to be focused. These are the things I need to do, but you can't just always be additive. You can't always just be throwing more things on your plate and more things on your plate, because I've learned very clearly that when you do that, eventually things just start falling off the plate because your plate is overflowing. You can't hold everything on the plate because the plate won't hold anymore. It's full. So the only way you're going to keep being able to do those things is you need to find some stuff that you need to do less of, that are tasks that are not a good use of your time, things that are just not good. This is not where I should be. This is not really, I'm doing it, but I really don't need to be doing it. It's not where I'm strong. It's not the best thing that I can do. And the way to get rid of this, there's 2 ways always to get out of, or to either do a task less or to stop doing a task altogether. It's either you create a system and you find a system that can automate the task and it can take care of it for you, or you find a person that can help you get it done. So it's always one, you have to decide. It's always one of those 2. There's either a system and a process. Maybe it's something that a piece of software could even do. Maybe there's something that you could automate it and it'll take care of it. Back when I was working in my career in banking, I worked with a bunch of people that I could not believe. They literally were printing off spreadsheets, the results of a spreadsheet. They would enter all of this, do all their calculations, print off the results of the spreadsheet, and then go into a different spreadsheet and key in and enter all of those numbers back into a new spreadsheet. I about beat my head into a wall, because when all of a sudden one day they both quit, and then my boss announced, guess what? You get both of those jobs added into your job now. And I was like, what? Well, I was like, not really thrilled about that answer, but they gave it to me. And when I was looking at what they were doing, I about screamed. I was like, this is asinine. So I took all that and I created links. So I don't have to enter any of these numbers, and all these spreadsheets automatically updated. I didn't have to spend any time doing all this. I basically eliminated these two people's jobs so that I wasn't sitting there and doing something, because I just created a system and took care of it and automated the task. No errors because things aren't being miskeyed. Things are automatically done. Or you find a person. There may be some skill in here that you're not really good at, but you're still doing it because it needs to be done. But you know someone else could do it better than you. You know someone else would do a much more efficient job. They would get it done more accurately, more timely. They would do it much easier because they're skilled in that area that you're not skilled in. You need to be thinking about that and figure out how can you get there. Then the fourth question is, what do you need to stop doing altogether? So now these are the things that just need to go. These are things that you look at it and you know in your heart, like should not be doing this. This is just not a good use of my time. It's not a fit for me. It's not my gift. It's not what I enjoy. It needs to go. And it may have been something that was important to you in the past. Again, I've learned over and over again, as a business grows, when you first start out as an entrepreneur, basically you do everything. Like every stinking little job that has to be done, it's on your shoulders to get done, because you are the whole team. You are the whole you are the whole business. So you're working on it. But then as the business grows, you look at this and go, man, I can't grow the business because I'm so busy working in the business instead of on the business. I need to get someone else to take these things off. I cannot go forward if I'm always holding on to the past. So those things need to go away. They need to either stop doing them because they're no longer necessary and just end it, or find another way to do it. And another way to think about this is, what are your now current goals? Because goals change over time, and we always have to keep that in mind. Your goal 5 years ago shouldn't be the same goal that you have today. Because if it is, that means you may not have moved very much. It means you may not have made a whole lot of progress. Your goals are always going to change over time as you keep growing, you keep moving, you keep improving. Your goals now are going to shift. And as your goals shift, something that was important to you in the past may no longer fit with the current goals. It may no longer be something that's important. It may no longer need to be done. So you just need to make a decision. Does this task just need to go away? We don't need this anymore. We don't need to do this anymore. It's no longer important. It's just needs to stop happening. Or do we need to give it to someone else? And if so, who? Who do you need to give it to? What is the right person to have this handed off to? Or again, is there a system that can take care of it and manage it so you don't have to do it anymore? Now, when you do all these things, I really, really also want to emphasize, if you don't already have one, find an accountability partner, find them. And as you create this list, share this list with them the next time you meet. Find somebody. And again, I am a huge person that believes in finding an accountability partner, because I know, look, I just over Christmas, I've been working out at the gym with a trainer the last year and a half. It's been a great thing for me, but I knew that I was worn out by the time I got to Christmas. And so we were gone out of town for several days. I had 2 weeks in there where I was not going to be with my trainer. I was not going to be working with him. And I knew that I needed a break. So I actually took those 2 weeks and didn't do much working out at all, didn't do much exercise, because I had workout fatigue going on. And so I stopped. And I knew on Tuesday of this week, when it was time to go back and meet with my trainer again, I wasn't jumping out of bed at 5 a.m. when it was time to go to the gym with full of excitement and enthusiasm to go, because I was just like, I don't know. But I knew that Matt was going to be standing there and he was going to expect me to show up. And because I had an accountability partner, it got done. And now I'm getting back into it again. I'm pretty sore today, but that's simply because I took a few days off and now I'm feeling it again. But that'll go away as we keep going. But this is the stuff that causes things to get done. This is stuff that causes things to move. And you don't quit when you feel like quitting. You have somebody there who's going to hold your feet to the fire and say, come on, let's go, buddy. Stay on task, stay going. Now, one of the things I also want to talk about is having success in this area really so much comes around having the right strategy. Again, the reason that I say you can really 10x your income, and I fully believe that, is because you have to learn how to reorient your life. You have to learn how to reorient your time so that you're focused on the things that are actually going to earn you the type of income that you can earn. And doing so involves having the right strategy, knowing what to invest your time in, knowing what to build on, knowing what to get, the kind of results that will generate that income. And again, when I first started working a decade ago in all this online business stuff, I figured out that I was probably earning $1 an hour. And that was depressing. I was sitting there learning so little. I was working and working and working and getting so very little. By the time it was done, that decade was done, shoot, I was probably earning several $100s an hour if I sat down and did the math throughout the course of the year. The income level had shifted dramatically. I was way over 10x difference. I was in the multiple 100x difference in hourly income of what I was getting, because I spent all the time building things that could generate income that didn't involve David being online right at that moment to get it. I built systems, I built strategies, I built tools, I built funnels that could go out and earn income without me having to be on a call, without me having to do something. I built things that led to a higher level of success, that my income level just exploded from where it was before. But again, that means having the right strategy. That means knowing the right approach. That means knowing the right way to go about doing things and reorienting my time around that strategy, knowing how to change my focus, knowing how to change my priority so that I'm working on things that are going to get me a much different kind of result than what I was doing before. The next part of this is, once you have the right strategy, it's about effective execution. Are you then executing on that strategy? Are you then implementing the things that you've realized that you need to do? And 95% of the time, this is where your failure will occur, is that you will understand this is what, okay, now I understand what I need to do. You've got clarity on that. You got an understanding. Now you got to go do it. Now you got to go exercise that. You got to go take action on it. You got to pull it through. And far too often, this is where the failure ends up occurring. You don't get it all done. And again, maybe you set too big of a goal. Maybe you set too much for you to do and you overwhelmed yourself instead of coming up with a few simple things. That's why I told you, come up with 3 and then focus on 1 at a time. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Hit those things and work them and build so that you can effectively execute, so that you can get things done. Now, as I'm going to tell you, like, well, how do I do this? How do I pull this in? I'm a firm believer in the role of coaching, of having people in your life who can help guide you to clarity. And I like to say, those who will learn will eventually earn. In other words, the people who will grow, the people who will learn, the people who will study, the people who will invest themselves to learn more skills, to learn more ways of doing things, will eventually have that show up on the earnings line. Will eventually have things show up on the side of income, because you're learning new ways, you're learning new approaches, you're learning new strategies. And this type of thing, I firmly believe this happens when you have a coach that can help guide you into clarity on how you can be successful. I firmly believe that is incredibly important. This morning, right before I got on with all of you, I had a call from a gentleman who wanted to ask me some questions. He's making some shifts in his life, and he's, has in a lot of different businesses and different things that he had been doing. And now he's at a transition point and he's trying to figure out, like, where do I go from here? He's like, David, I need a coach. He's come to that point where he realizes, I need someone who can help me figure out the strategy, who can help me figure out the what I need to do, and who can help hold me accountable to get it done. Those are the things that are really help keep you on, so that the execution doesn't fall off, so that the execution doesn't cause you to fail, and so that you actually understand the strategy you should be following in the first place. You'll understand how to do it. And you do this. And again, I'm going to hit this point and then I'll wrap up and finish with this. When you choose a coach to work with, you choose someone that you want to get involved in, you need to make sure that you're working with someone that knows what they're doing. And I'm not just talking about someone who studied it in a book. I'm not just talking about somebody who listened to somebody else talk about it. I'm talking about someone who actually did it. Someone who actually accomplished the thing that you're trying to do, someone who's actually achieved the result that you're trying to achieve. So if you want to grow an online business, you should be getting coached by someone who has successfully grown an online business, someone who has had success in this area, not someone who has just simply listened to other people talk about marketing and decided to be a business coach. That's not going to help you. You need someone who's been there, done that, and knows how to get results, because that is the person that actually knows what they're talking about. That is the person that actually knows how to be successful and isn't just going to recite book knowledge to you. They're going to recite real life, feet on the ground knowledge. So those are the steps. And one of the things I really want to emphasize with all of you is this is there because, again, when I say that you can achieve these things and when you can do these things, you have to just orient and run your life differently. If you want to change that income line, it is 100% possible. I did it. Again, that 10X, I put that in there and that gets people excited. The reality is I went way beyond that. I went way, way beyond 10X. And it was because I created a different system. I created a different life. I created a different way of doing things. As a result, my results shifted dramatically. And that's how you do it. That's how you approach it. And that's how you have success.
Well, David, one of the things I'm thinking, even as you're saying that, is 10X this year, and then a year from now, 10X again. And then 10X, like that's where the multiplier effect really, you can definitely do it this year. But if you're really continuing to fine tune and tweak and adjust things, I hired my first virtual assistant just 3 months ago. And I'm like, I've heard everybody say it. You're always going to wait too long. And I'll tell you 1,000 times over, I waited too long. I had her lined up a year before that. And I'm like, she's only literally working 4 or 5 hours a week for me now. But what she's relieved me of that I was doing, because like you said, you start out doing everything, right? And I knew she was high quality many years ago, and she's like running circles around how I did it for years. And I'm sitting there going, you only did like 4 hours this week. Look at all you did. Like I'm sitting here blown away, and that's worth the money I'm investing in that role. And it has freed me up to focus on, like you said, the unique abilities and everything. And I'm kind of in that phase, like, okay, how do I keep fine tuning that? What are those 1 or 2 things I really need to be doing most of? And but folks, listen to this, because like I said, a year from now, if you do it today and right now and this year, a year from now, you can rinse and repeat and do it again. And you can continue to keep increasing your value and your hourly rate of what you ultimately get paid for yourself. And there's a lot of great tools out there. There's a lot of great people out there to help you if you really take that step. But it kind of becomes a step of faith, David, don't you think, to release some of that stuff and subscribe to a software or whatever, when it feels like an expense at first until you realize what you're actually doing for yourself.
Yeah, it is absolutely in the early days, it is a control thing, because when you first start out, you are in control of everything. You are like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to take control of this. I want to be in charge of that. I'm managing the whole thing because you care so much and because your heart's so into it. I'm like, yeah, I don't want this ball falling. I don't want the customers not to be served at a high level. I don't want to fail because I didn't have my hand on it. But what you have to realize is that you have to learn to let go of that and realize other people care too. Other people will do a good job. And again, as many of you know, Janine works very closely with me on all my stuff. And I learned a long time ago that she's better at some of this stuff than I am. And so it has that twofold effect. One level is she's better at this certain aspects of this stuff than I am. And so me getting out of her way is better because it gets done better than what I would do. Number two, we now are moving a lot faster than we would if I was doing it by myself, because if I was doing it by myself, I would be doing, everything would happen in a linear way.
Yeah.
Like I do this, complete it, then I move on to the next and complete it. But when she comes alongside, now we're working in tandem and things are getting done twice as fast because she's knocking all these projects out. I'm knocking these things out. And whoa, all of a sudden we're a lot farther, a lot faster. Yeah. And that's all how you start amplifying, and that's how you start getting momentum and you speed up this whole process. But again, sitting there doing little jobs that are just going to, generate little results is more of a fear-based attitude and approach to all this. It ends up holding you back. And the way to do it is you have to build a business. You have to build this system and this process that is going to change things, that is going to make things be different than what they would be otherwise, that can generate income at a much higher level. Is that her?
That is her. She said, thanks for the shout out.
Hey, you're my favorite. You don't have your picture.
Well, the other thing, David, and I speak from experience, I've watched her do this to you and to me now, is you need people that are kind of those taskmasters to like, this is what we need here in organizing, because sometimes we get so scattered. That's like Stephanie, who's my assistant. I said, essentially, I'm hiring you to be my boss. Tell me what I need. You tell me what I need to do for you to get that done. Because now it's like I create content, I give it to her, and she schedules it and she puts it where it needs to be and all this design stuff for me. But then I'm like, you tell me when you're out of stuff that I've given you. And then like yesterday, she's like, I need more of this. And I'm like, all right, I'm on it, and so just having somebody who's kind of keeping tabs on things like that for you, so you can focus on your unique abilities, and then, get them what they need so they can then run with it. Like that's to me been huge. And I'm sure that's a lot of that's what, Janine is for you as well. She's got the tech side for sure, but she's also got that project management strength as well to just organize things. And, I've said to you, I'm a doer. I don't have a problem with executing, but my issue a lot of times is slowing down on that front end to strategize the doing. But I know that when I do it, when I really have an organized plan, then I can just go so much farther faster. And so, it does help to have somebody else in there. So looks like April's got some definite experience there too. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I just kind of want to leave you with this too. I want you to think about it from this perspective. Like you can start off in a job and you're working somewhere and you're getting paid, and here's one where it's all kind of getting brought back to us. As those of you that know my story a little bit know that early in 2020, my wife, Christiane, lost her job. She was an event planner, which I now jokingly say she would have been better off being a drug runner than an event planner, because drug runners could still work. Event planners all got fired because they were not allowed to hold events. Yeah. So she was on that. And then over the holidays, she decided, because she's still looking for a job because the event space is still very beat up. She's been doing this. She now went back and took a job just at a jewelry store, because she used to work in the jewelry business and used to run a store, and she's now back on an hourly rate. And it is depressing to think about where we were versus where now she is. Just again, it's a seasonal job. It's just something to make a little money over the holidays to pay a few bills and so forth. But it's not a big thing. But we're looking at that. It's so hard to get ahead. She's earning just a few dollars an hour to get ahead. Now I think back to when we were doing, so you think about that, you have that low level of income where you're locked into you're capped out $20 an hour, $30 an hour, whatever that may be. You can't get past it. You can't earn beyond it. You're locked in. Now think about this. We used to run webinars for, the program Author Academy Elite. And we would invest time into building out things, setting all these things up. We had a system in place that we built to take care of authors, but we would spend about $50,000 on ads. And at the end of it, we would come out with about 50 new author clients on average. That's about what we would average. It always varied a little, but we would come out with that. So when you think about that, anybody who knows Author Academy Elite, it's a $5,000 program. So when you do the math, you spend $50,000 in ads and we generated $250,000 in revenue. That's $200,000 in income after ads. How long do I have to work at $20 an hour
Yeah.
to make up that?
Yeah.
And there were some expenses that came out of that, and I get that.
Sure.
That's what you have to understand was we reoriented our time. We reoriented our strategies to build things that could earn things at such a higher level, that's such a bigger way, at such a higher rate that I was never going to be able to get there by charging $20, $30 an hour to work for somebody, or whatever the rate is. Even if you get up to $50 an hour, you're still never going to get to that level. And that's why you have to have a strategy. That's why you have to build systems. You have to build offers. You have to build programs and things that can earn income at a significantly higher level that will just blow the doors off of anything that you can do on the hourly basis. And Janine, don't get any ideas.
Well, and I think a lot of it too, right, David, is just mindset too. Like, because I know for me, I've had to continually work through this idea of expenses versus an investment. And so when you say $50,000 in ads, there are probably people whose draws are going to drop. They're going to go, I can't even begin to imagine that. And they're going to feel like that's an expense. But when you think about it, netting, 250 because of those 50,000, all of a sudden you've got 200 grand, difference. Like, that's the difference, I think, for a lot of us, is really shifting from what we've known from whether it be a 9-to-5 job salary situation or an hourly rate, lower dollar figure, is really scaling up and understanding that sometimes, yes, you do spend $100 a month in a software, for instance, but you realize that if you spend $1,200 over the course of a year, but you generate $10,000 for selling a product, a course, or whatever, like, I'd keep throwing $100 a month of that forever, right? I mean, you've talked about that, like, keep feeding the machine.
Right. Yeah, there's, and Laura brings up another good point. Investing in yourself. I mean, because again, part of all this is you have to learn, I've probably in coaching and investing in training programs and different things I've spent, I'm not afraid to admit it's in the hundreds of thousands at this point of dollars that I've spent on all these things, but that has generated millions in revenue, because I put it into myself. And again, these are all things that, I think all of us realize we have to find ways to earn income on things that are not tied into us just being on an hourly structure, because you can't get there. And that involves creating a business, that involves creating a program, that involves something that you can set up a funnel to, you can start generating leads to, you can get people to buy from you. And in doing so, all of a sudden the ceiling comes off of your earning potential. All of a sudden the income starts to grow, and you go, oh, look at that. All of a sudden money is no longer tight because this whole thing is generating income at a level that you cannot otherwise get to. And again, it's a process. You don't get there overnight. We didn't start off spending $50,000 in ads out of the gate. Right. We started off spending a couple $1,000s. And that was because we were only willing to do that because we had already done some work on our own and we already had some income coming in. We already had, things building and going to start out with. But, we did it because, we were able to grow those things to that level. And so we started peeling off a lower level, and that worked. And we were able to get a few sales out of it. Great. Let's this time try 5,000. Okay. Well, that worked. Well, let's try 10 next time. And we just kept amplifying until we got to that 50. Sure. And that's where everything starts exponentially going. And again, I jokingly say, Janine, don't get any ideas, but that's because, she's one of my dearest friends in the whole world and I love working with her, but she's also going in that direction. She's also last year created her own course because she's recognizing this too. She has simpleSoloTravel.com where you get people that want to travel the world. And as the world starts opening up again, she's going to be able to make a lot of extra income for people who want to go out and travel. And that girl's traveled the world by herself, like for months at a time. She traveled Europe for like 4 months. So she's now taken those skills and she's learned how to use that and turn it into something that she can sell. And now people buy her course, and it's just, again, ongoing income. She doesn't have to show up for it. She gets paid. There's income coming in for her. And that's how you scale. But you have to build the funnel. You have to build the offer. You have to build the system. You have to keep getting traffic to it. But once you learn how to do those things, your whole world will change. Everything will be different. You will suddenly look at life going, why was I ever doing it the other way? Yeah. Why was I ever fighting and going and working for this $20, $30 an hour, struggling to make all the bills come together all the time, when I could have done this, and this would change my life forever.
So, but to that point, David, and I know we kind of need to get to the point of wrapping up for today, but this idea of, I think so much of it is our society has taught us that way, that now it's like a lot of it is kind of pulling back the curtains, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to do here to help folks is, you know, you may be in that day job right now and you're trying to get free of that. You want to do something that you're passionate about and excited about. You have a book, you have a course, you have a program, you have a product, whatever it may be, and you want to get free of that. But so much of this is the mental game. And I like what you had to say today, because just, you know, even if you take nothing away, but say you can't get to a $500 an hour rate with $5 habits, folks. I mean, that's gold right there for us to think about, that, you know, browsing the internet, checking email all the time, you know, just doing some low quality and no earning, you know, types of tasks is sucking out the energy that we could have to pour into our clients, into our prospects, to try to make those new connections. And so, you know, this is an ongoing thing. And David, when you said you guys spent $1,000 or $2,000 in ads, I'm guessing that was like, oh, I hope this works, you know, because, and then you know, until you see the fruit of it, a lot of times that, once again, this is such a faith step journey to do that next thing, whether it's bringing on your first assistant, whether it's outsourcing to somebody, whether it's to spend some money on ads. You know, we're going to continue to have to do things that we're not familiar with in order to get results that we haven't had yet. And so, folks, courage and faith is such a part of this. And, you know, I hope that this lesson today, you know, to really do some evaluation of your, you know, I jotted these down, you know, what do you need to start doing? What do you need to do more of? What do you need to do less of? And what do you need to stop doing? Ask those questions. You know, I plan to get over here after we're done and jump on my whiteboard and just start doing that again, you know, because I need that reminder. And so I'm glad that David brought that to us today. So we're super excited to kind of re-engage with everybody. Love that, Laura, you know, money-making activities. Yes. You know, it's so important. And, you know, there's been times where I've said, what is an income producing thing and what is just busy work? You know, I had to even ask myself that at times. Like, we default to the busy work when we don't know what we should be doing, whereas the strategy side of it. So, David, any final words?
You know, I would just say, like, the two biggest things standing in the way of you and your success at a much higher level than what you are standing on today is, number one, yourself. Working on yourself, working on your heart, on your attitude, on your courage and faith. Thank you. Someone threw that one in there. Those are all things that you need to have strong. You need to be there. You need to work on yourself, your own ability to stay strong, your own ability to stay in the fight and to keep working and not quit. The other side of it is, how do you have that strategy? How are you investing your time to build a system, to build a process that can generate income for you at a level that's not capped on an hourly rate? How can you build into something that is going to transform the possibilities of what your life looks like and create generational changing wealth? How can you do something where you're going to leave things for children, and if you don't have children, to people that are organizations that you care about? And those are things that, if you invest your time into those types of activities, building those things, making those offers, building those types of programs, you can change your life in a way that you couldn't even dream possible.